Shalom, and welcome back to day 104 of reading the Bible in 52 weeks. Woo! Lord, I love you. Be with us all today. Amen. Let's go. Today we'll be reading 2 Kings 10 through 12. Since Ahab had 70 sons in Samaria, Jehu wrote letters and sent them to Samaria to the rulers of Jezreel, the leaders and the guardians of Ahab's sons, saying, Your master's sons are with you, and you have chariots, horses, and fortified city, and weaponry. So when this letter arrives, select the most qualified of your master's son, set him on his father's throne, and fight for your master's house. However, they were terrified and reasoned, Look, 2 kings couldn't stand against him. How can we? So the overseer of the palace, the overseer of the city, and the elders and the guardians sent a message to Jehu. We are your servants, and we will do whatever you tell us. We will not make anyone king. Do whatever you think is right. Then Jehu wrote them a second letter saying, If you are on my side, and if you will obey me, bring me to the heads of your master's sons at this time tomorrow at Jezreel. All 70 of the king's sons were being careful for the city's prominent men. When the letter came to them, they took the king's sons and slaughtered all 70, put their heads in baskets, and sent them to Jehu at Jezreel. When the messenger came and told him, They have brought the heads of the king's sons, the king said, Pile them in the 2 heaps at the entrance of the city gate until morning. The next morning, when he went out and stood at the gate, he said to all the people, You are innocent. It was I who conspired against my master and killed him, but who struck down all these? Know then that not a word the Lord spoke against the house of Ahab will fail, for the Lord has done what he had promised through his servant Elijah. So Jehu killed all who remained of the house of Ahab in Jezreel, all the great men, close friends, and priests, leaving him no survivors. Then he set out and went to Samaria. On the way, while he was at Beth-ek of the shepherds, Jehu met the relatives of King Azaziah of Judah and asked, Who are you? They answered, We're Azaziah's relatives. We've come down to greet the king's sons and their queen mother's sons. Then Jehu ordered, Take them alive. So they took them alive and then slaughtered them at the pit of Beth-ek, 42 men. He didn't spare any of them. When he left there, he found Jonadab, son of Rechab, coming to meet him. He greeted him and then asked, Is your heart one with mine? It is, Jehobadab replied. Jehu said, If it is, give me your hand. So he gave him his hand, and Jehu pulled him up into the chariot with him. Then he said, Come with me and see my zeal for the Lord. So he let him ride with him in his chariot. When Jehu came to Samaria, he struck down all who remained from the house of Ahab in Samaria, until he had annihilated his house, according to the word of the Lord spoken to Elijah. Then Jehu brought all the people together and said to them, Ahab served Baal a little, but Jehu will serve him a lot. Now therefore summon to me all the prophets of Baal and his servants and all his priests. None must be missing, for I have a great sacrifice for Baal. Whoever is missing will not live. However, Jehu was acting deceptively in order to destroy the servants of Baal. Jehu commanded, Consecrate a solemn assembly for Baal. So they called one. Then Jehu sent messengers throughout all Israel, and all the servants of Baal came. No one failed to come. They entered the temple of Baal, and it was filled from one end to the other. Then he said to a custodian of the wardrobe, Bring out the garments for all the servants of Baal. So he brought out their garments. Then Jehu and Jehobadab, son of Rechab, entered the temple of Baal, and Jehu said to the servants of Baal, Look carefully to see that there are no servants of the Lord here among you, only servants of Baal. Then they went and ordered sacrifice and burnt offerings. Now Jehu had stationed 80 men outside, and he warned them, Whoever allows any of the men I am placing in your hands to escape will forfeit the lives of theirs. When he finished offering the burnt offerings, Jehu said to the guards and officers, Go and kill them, don't let anyone out. So they struck them down with the sword. Then the guards and officers threw their bodies out and went to the inner room of the temple of Baal. They brought out the pillar of the temple of Baal and burnt it, and they tore down the pillar of Baal. Then they tore down the temple of Baal and made it a latrine, which is still today. Jehu eliminated Baal worship from Israel, but he did not turn away from the sins that Jeroboam son of Nebat had caused Israel to commit, worshiping the gold calves that were in Bethan and Dan. Nevertheless, the Lord said to Jehu, Because you have done well in carrying out what is right in my sight, and have done to the house of Ahab all of was in my heart, 4 generations of your sons will sit on the throne of Israel. Yet Jehu was not careful to follow the instruction of the Lord God of Israel with all his heart. He did not turn from the sins that Jeroboam had caused Israel to commit. In those days the Lord began to reduce the size of Israel. Hazael defeated the Israelites throughout the territory, from the Jordan eastward, the whole land of Gilead, the Gadites and Reubenites and the Manassites, from Orior, which is by the Arnon Valley, through Gilead to Bashan. The rest of the events of Jehu's reigns, along with the accomplishment in all his might, are written in the historical record of Israel's kings. Jehu rested with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria. His son Jehoshaphat became king in his place. The length of Jehu's reign over Israel and Samaria was 28 years. When Athaliah, Ahazah's mother, saw that her son was dead, she proceeded to annihilate all the royal heirs. Jerusheba, who was King Jeroboam's daughter and Isaiah's sister, secretly rescued Joshua, son of Ahazah, from among the king's sons who were being killed, and put him on the one who nursed him in the bedroom. So he was hidden from Athaliah and was not killed. Josh was in hiding with her in the Lord's temple 6 years while Athaliah reigned over the land. In the 7th year, Joiada sent in the commanders of hundreds, the Kerethites and the guards. He had them come in the Lord's temple, where he made a covenant with them and put them under oath. He showed them the king's son and commanded them, "This is what you are to do. A third of you who come on duty at the Sabbath are to provide protection for the king's palace. A third are to be the foundation gate, the third the gate behind the guards. You are to take turns providing protection for your palace. Your 2 divisions that go off duty on the Sabbath are to provide the king protection at the Lord's temple, completely surround the king with weapons in hand. Anyone who approaches the ranks is to be put to death. Be with the king in all his daily tasks." So the commanders of hundreds did everything the priest Jehoiada commanded. They each brought their men, those coming on duty on the Sabbath and those going off duty, and came to the priests of Jehoiada. The priests and the commanders of hundreds King David's spears and shields that were in the Lord's temple. Then the guards stood with their weapon in hand surrounding the king, from the right side of the temple to the left side, by the altar at the temple. Jehoiada brought out the king's son, put the crown on him, gave him the testimony, and made him king. They anointed him and clapped their hands and cried, "Long live the king!" Then Athaliah heard the noise from the guard of the crowd. She went out to the people of the Lord's temple. She looked, and there was the king standing by the pillar according to the custom. The commanders and the trumpeters were at the king, and all the people of the land were rejoicing and blowing trumpets. Athaliah tore her clothes and screamed, "Treason! Treason!" Then the priest Jehoiada ordered the commanders of hundreds in charge of the army, "Take her out between the ranks and put her to death by sword, anyone who follows her." So the priest said, "She is not to be put to death in the Lord's temple." So they arrested her, and she went through the horse entrance to the king's palace, where she was put to death. Then Joiada made a covenant between the Lord, the king, and the people, that they would be the Lord's people, and another covenant between the king and the people. So all the people of the land went to the temple of Baal and tore it down. They smashed its altars and images to pieces, and they killed Mattan, the priest of Baal, on the altars. Then Jehoiada, the priest, anointed guards for the Lord's temple. He took the commanders of hundreds, the Kerethites, the guards, and all the people of the land, and they brought the king from the Lord's temple. They entered the king's palace by the way of the guard's gate. Then Joshua sat on the throne of the kings. All the people in the land rejoiced, and the city was quiet, for they had put Athaliah to death by the sword of the king's palace. Joshua was 7 years old when he became king. In the 7th year of Jehu, Joshua became king, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Zibiah. She was from Beersheba. Throughout the time the priest Joiada instructed him, Joshua did what was right in the Lord's sight, yet the high places were not taken away. The people continued sacrificing the burning incense on high places. Then Joshua said to the priests, "All the dedicated silver brought to the Lord's temple, since the silver from vows, the silver voluntary given to the Lord's temple, each priest is to take it from the assessor and repair whatever damage is found in the temple." But by the 23rd year of the reign of King Josh, the priests had not repaired the damage of the temple. So King Josh called the priest Joiada and the other priests and asked, "Why haven't you repaired the temple's damage? Since you haven't, don't take any silver from your assessors. Instead, hand it over for the repair of the temple." So the priests agreed that they would receive no silver from the people and would not be the ones to repair the temple's damage. Then the priest Joiada took a chessboard, a hole in its lid, and set it beside the altar on the right side of it. As one enters the Lord's temple, the priests who guarded the threshold put into the chest of all the silver and was brought into the Lord's temple. Whenever they saw there was a large amount of silver in the chest, the king's secretary and the high priest would go bag up and tally the silver found in the Lord's temple. Then they would give the weighed silver to those doing the work, those who oversaw the Lord's temple. They They in turn would pay it out to those working on the Lord's temple, the carpenters, the builders, the mansions, and the stonecutters, and would use it to buy timber and quarried stone to repair the damage of the Lord's temple for all the expenses for temple repairs. However, no silver bowls, wick trimmers, sprinkling baskets, trumpets, or any articles of gold or silver were made for the Lord's temple from the contributions brought to the Lord's temple. Instead, it was given to those doing the work, and they repaired the Lord's temple with it. No accounting was required from the men who received the silver to pay those doing the work, since they worked with integrity. The silver from the guilt offering and the sin offering was not brought to the Lord's temple, since it belonged to the priest. At the time, King Hazael of Amram marched up and fought against Gath and captured it. Then he planned to attack Jerusalem. So King Joash of Judah took all the items consecrated by himself and by his ancestors, Judah's kings Joshaphat, Jerome, and Ahaziah, as well as the gold found in the treasuries of the Lord's temple and the king's palace, and he sent them to King Hazael of Aram. Then Hazael withdrew from Jerusalem. The rest of the events of Joshua's resign, along with all the compliments, are written in the historical record of Judah's kings. Joshua's servants conspired against him and attacked him at Beth Millo on the road that goes down to Silla. It was his servant Jozabad, son of Shemamit, and Jozabad, son of Shomer, who attacked him. He died, and they buried him with his ancestors in the city of David, and his son Amaziah became king in his place. Okay, guys, I will see you tomorrow for day 105. May you have a blessed day.